Captain Lyra Vex, one of the Galactic Alliance's most respected reconnaissance officers, had survived pirate ambushes, asteroid storms, and even a 12-hour diplomatic dinner with the notoriously boring Eldrin Council. She believed every problem in the universe could be solved with discipline, logic, and a well-written checklist. Then she met Jackson Reed. Her sleek Alliance cruiser drifted peacefully through the Orion expanse, scanning uncharted space, when every alarm on the bridge erupted at once. Collision imminent! Before Lyra could react, an old human cargo shuttle burst out of a cloud of ionized dust and slammed into her ship with enough force to send both vessels spinning through space. The bridge lights flickered. Warning sirens screamed. Somewhere behind her, a maintenance robot simply gave up and shut itself off. Lyra gripped the command chair. Please don't be a human. Her scanner chirped. Species identified, human. She closed her eyes. Of course. Minutes later, she forced open the emergency airlock connecting the damaged ships. Instead of a terrified survivor, a smiling human floated inside carrying a giant wrench over his shoulder. Hi, he said cheerfully. You must be the owner of the ship I accidentally introduced myself to. Lyra stared. You crashed into me. I prefer aggressive networking. You nearly destroyed my cruiser. And yet, we're talking. I'd call that a successful first impression. She blinked twice. Galactic intelligence reports had warned that humans were unpredictable. Those reports had apparently been understating the problem. As Lyra inspected his shuttle, her confidence dissolved into disbelief. Panels were held together with tape. Loose wires dangled from the ceiling. One engine had the words "Do not touch" painted across it in bright red. What happens if someone touches this? She asked. Jackson scratched his chin. Depends. On what? Whether you enjoy explosions. She looked at him in complete silence. You built this? I improved it. This is not an improvement. It has personality. It has multiple fire hazards. He smiled proudly. So, extra personality. For reasons she couldn't explain, Lyra felt the corner of her mouth twitch upward. She immediately forced it back down. She was a professional officer. She did not smile at reckless humans. Unfortunately. Jackson noticed anyway. You smiled. I absolutely did not. You smiled for at least half a second. I was experiencing temporary facial turbulence. He laughed. That's the most adorable denial I've heard all week. Lyra folded her arms. You are unbelievably annoying. And yet you haven't thrown me out of the airlock. I've considered it. But... the paperwork. Jackson grinned wider than ever. At that exact moment, a massive ion storm swallowed both ships, frying their navigation systems and leaving them stranded light years from the nearest colony. Neither of them realized it yet. The collision wasn't the real disaster. Being stuck together was. The emergency landing was anything but graceful. Jackson's, slightly modified, engines roared, coughed twice, then exploded with enough enthusiasm to light up half the sky. The damaged shuttle slammed into the surface of a lush, uncharted planet, skidding across glowing blue grass before finally stopping against a cluster of giant crystal-covered rocks. For a long moment, there was silence. Then Jackson groaned. Good news. Lyra rubbed her aching forehead. There is no possible good news. We landed. We crashed. I prefer optimistic vocabulary. Lyra unbuckled herself and glared at him. You are the reason safety manuals exist. And yet, Jackson replied with a grin, here we both are alive. Barely. The air outside was surprisingly breathable. Towering purple trees swayed in the wind, while tiny glowing creatures fluttered through the air like living stars. Crystal rivers reflected 3 different moons, making the entire planet look like someone had decorated reality after drinking too much alien coffee. It's beautiful, Lyra whispered. Jackson smiled. I know. She looked at him. I was talking about the planet. So was I. She wasn't convinced. Their food scanner delivered another unpleasant surprise. Emergency rations, enough for 6 days. Estimated rescue arrival, unknown. Lyra sighed. We'll have to ration everything. Jackson nodded. Agreed. 5 minutes later. He was eating dessert. Lyra stared in disbelief. That was today's dessert. I was stressed. We landed 10 minutes ago. Exactly. Very stressful 10 minutes. You have the self-control of a toddler. I prefer professional snacker. As night fell, they built a temporary shelter using pieces of the crashed shuttle. Well, Lyra built it. Jackson provided moral support. I'm supervising, he said proudly. You're sitting on a rock. Leadership requires sacrifice. You've sacrificed absolutely nothing. I skipped a second dessert. Lyra threw a small cushion at him. He caught it effortlessly. Ouch! He laughed dramatically. Alien violence already? We haven't even had our first official date. Her cheeks warmed. This is not a date. We're alone on a beautiful planet under 3 moons. It's survival. With romantic scenery. It is completely accidental. The best romances usually are. She rolled her eyes so hard she was surprised they didn't orbit the planet. Later that evening, strange growls echoed from the forest. Both froze. Jackson quietly picked up a metal pipe. Lyra activated her plasma blade. Whatever made that sound. It was big. Very big. The bushes suddenly shook. A massive shadow emerged into the moonlight. Jackson whispered, "Tell me that's vegetarian." The creature roared. Lyra tightened her grip on her weapon. I have a feeling. Jackson finished her sentence. Our relationship with this planet is off to a terrible start. The beast charged. The creature thundered toward them, shaking the ground with every step. It stood nearly 15 feet tall, covered in shimmering black scales that reflected the light of the planet's 3 moons. 2 glowing amber eyes locked onto Lyra and Jackson as it let out a roar powerful enough to send nearby birds fleeing into the night sky. Jackson swallowed. So, running is still an option, right? Lyra kept her plasma blade raised. Against something that fast? Not likely. Fantastic. I always wanted my obituary to read, "Eaten on vacation." This is not a vacation. It definitely isn't getting 5-star reviews. The beast charged. Without hesitation, Lyra stepped in front of Jackson. Stay behind me. Jackson frowned. Not happening. Before Lyra could protest, Jackson grabbed a damaged fuel canister from the wreckage and hurled it toward the charging creature. The canister exploded in a brilliant flash, filling the air with smoke and sparks. The beast stumbled to a halt, confused. Jackson cupped his hands around his mouth. Congratulations! You've just won the galaxy's loudest fireworks show! The creature blinked. Then, surprisingly, it backed away. Lyra looked at him in disbelief. You scared it. I had absolutely no idea that would work. You were bluffing? I specialize in professional confidence. She shook her head, unable to decide whether he was incredibly brave or unbelievably lucky. Mostly lucky, Jackson admitted. After the danger passed, they returned to their shelter. The adrenaline slowly faded, replaced by exhaustion. Jackson sat beside the small campfire, staring at the stars. You know. Lyra looked over. What? I've traveled across half the galaxy. And? I've never met anyone like you. She raised an eyebrow. Most people would consider that a compliment. It is. She smiled faintly. You hide your feelings behind jokes. And you hide yours behind military regulations. He wasn't wrong. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was comfortable. Jackson broke it first. So, if we survive this, we will. Would you maybe consider letting me buy you dinner? Lyra looked around the empty alien wilderness. With what restaurant? He smiled. I'll invent one. She laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh this time. I'll think about it. Jackson grinned. I'll think about it. That's practically a victory. As the fire crackled between them, either noticed the faint emergency beacon suddenly activating deep within the crashed shuttle. Someone had detected their signal. But the incoming ship wasn't a rescue vessel. It belonged to the most dangerous bounty hunters in the Orion sector. And they were coming for the human.